Hey everyone, my name's James from UrbanJungleMSP, and I'm coming to you today from my couch, a little bit of a different venue, and I want to talk to you about Hoya propagation. In this video, I'm going to show you a few different methods that I've used that have been really successful and show you how the plants that I'm propagating have responded. So stay tuned to find out how you can make even more Hoya plants. So the first propagation method that I want to talk to you today about is LECA. LECA are these small little Cocoa Puff looking balls that you're going to see people utilizing to either propagate or to maintain their plants in passive hydro. The way that you utilize LECA for propagation is, for this example, I have a net pot, which are these pots that have holes in them, and I have filled it with LECA and have put a few Hoya mathilde cuttings in to get them to root, and then you will put your net pot inside of some type of outer container. So as you can see right here, I have a glass, and this LECA, since it's porous and it soaks up moisture, actually only needs about the bottom third exposed to water, and then the rest will draw up water and moisture into the rest of the LECA, and the plants themselves are the ones that are going to seek out that moisture. So once they sense that there's moisture around, they're going to send out their little roots in order to go and find it, to get whatever nutrients or water that they need. And this is a really nice way to root and also to keep your plants, because the risk of overwatering is pretty low, because the plant is going to only take what it needs and utilize the water and the nutrients that it needs out of the LECA. And honestly, I think it's pretty cool. I'm pretty new to it, so I'm just trying this out for the first time, but I'm pretty excited about it. These haven't been in here long enough for me to really know if it's making a difference, and I don't want to disturb the root systems, but a lot of people have had a really great experience with utilizing LECA for propagation, so this is just one option that you can use to root Hoyas. Alright, the next option that I want to show you is rooting Hoyas in water. Now, this is a pretty inexpensive way for you to root your plants. There's a little bit of a backstory behind these cuttings. One of my favorite decor stores in the Twin Cities is Southside Vintage, and they are a shop that gets in a lot of heirloom plants. They got in this Hoya that had to be at least 60 years old, that was on this huge trellis. It was in rough shape. They said that the owners of the plant hadn't watered it for months. This plant was so dehydrated and had so little life in it, but I noticed that there were a few places on the plant that were actually active and still had some green, so I basically ended up taking about 5 or 6 cuttings off of this plant, and I told them, if you don't mind, I'm going to do this just to see if we can save a part of this beautiful Hoya. So I ended up being successful with 2 cuttings. These 2 cuttings have been in water for a little bit over a month, and they are actually springing back to life. You can see right here that there's a new growth point on this Hoya, and there are a couple active nodes that are starting to put off a little bit of growth on this other piece. But like I said, this Hoya I've had in water for about a month, and you can already see that there are some roots coming in, which is really exciting because I didn't even know if there was really much left to be saved with this plant. And as you can see, plants teach us a lot about resilience, because this guy sprung back to life. So I'm going to put this back in here. This piece also has some really nice roots on it, as you can see. So I think we're going to be saving this heirloom Hoya that they got in. This is a really foolproof way to root your Hoyas. One thing that I would caution you about, though, is if you are going to use the water propagation method for Hoyas, is that once your roots get about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, you're going to want to transplant it into some type of media or into a semi-hydro or passive hydroponic method of gardening, because the roots will adapt to being in water. So they form what are called water roots, and those roots are more weak than what soil roots are. If you leave a plant in water for months and months and months and the root system gets really developed, it's going to have a little bit more of a difficult time transitioning into some type of soil or amended substrate. So just beware of that if you're going to use this method. The next method of propagation that I want to talk to you about is the plastic bag propagation method. I found it to be one of the most successful ways to propagate your Hoyas. So I have here two examples. I have a bag of Hoya polyneura in a Ziplock with sphagnum moss, and then I also have a Ziplock here that has a couple Dischidia cuttings along with a Hoya pubicalyx in soil. The Ziplock propagation method is a way for you to root your Hoyas in a contained greenhouse environment. And I found that this is the easiest for Hoyas to transition out of after you're finished propagating because it's already in an environment that it's familiar with. You can utilize sphagnum moss, you can utilize potting soil, you can put LECA into the bottom of a Ziploc bag, and basically all you really have to do is make sure that the stem of the Hoya is in contact with the material you have it in, because the roots that are going to form are going to be seeking that moisture. Just like what I talked about with LECA, they're going to seek that moisture, and they also want to attach to something so that they can find it more easily. So what I have here, this first example, this is Hoya polyneura, or the fishtail Hoya, and I have it in sphagnum moss. And this is honestly one of the easiest and quickest ways that I've rooted my Hoyas. So basically what I do, like I said, I put the sphagnum moss in the bottom of the bag, and then I put the cuttings in so the stem is exposed to whatever material it's in. So then I'll mist it with my little mister. And no, I don't have a little mister, I'm still single. So then I will blow the bag up so that it creates a greenhouse environment so that that humidity can stay within the bag. And then you just seal it up. And of course all the air fell out, but you get the point. This Hoya has been in this bag for probably about 3 weeks at this point, and oh my gosh, I'm already getting a lot of roots. So mind you that this has been rooting in sphagnum moss, but you can see that these roots are already attaching to the moss, and I don't want to disturb this too much, but I'm going to see if I can show you what the root structure is like on this. Okay. So I've taken this out of the sphagnum moss, and like I said, these have been in for about 3 weeks, and you can see that there's already a ton of roots developing. I've used the sphagnum moss method quite a bit, and it's honestly one of the best ways that I've found to propagate. It provides your plant with a lot of moisture, so it keeps it moist really well, and it obviously is really effective for this guy. The polyneura is a variety of Hoya that likes a lot more humidity and likes to maintain a little bit more moisture. So obviously sphagnum moss is a great option for that because it retains moisture so well. You don't want to keep it too wet where the roots would rot, but this is a really great method for rooting your Hoyas. So you can also do the Ziploc bag propagation method with soil in the bottom. Now these cuttings that I have in here I've only had for a few days, so they haven't rooted in yet, but I've also had really a lot of success using potting soil at the bottom of the Ziploc bag, and the Hoyas seem to really like it. Kind of a take on the Ziploc bag method, I have a to-go container with me right here that I've been utilizing to root some of my Hoya mathilde and Hoya serpens cuttings that I have, and I am going to show you how I'm doing it. So as you can see in here, I've created a little greenhouse environment, and I really liked this container because it had a clear top, so I just put this right under one of my grow lights. Right here I have a bunch of Hoya mathilde and Hoya serpens cuttings, and what I've used at the bottom here is a mixture of LECA and orchid bark. And I really like this combination because the orchid bark and the LECA both hold moisture really well, and you can see here I'm going to take one of these Hoya mathilde cuttings out. This is honestly pretty astonishing. So these cuttings have been in here for probably about a week and a half. I got these from Spain, and the bag that they were in when they were in transport had a moist paper towel, and it was already sending out some roots. But you can see here, look at these roots. Like, this is already attached to the orchid bark and the LECA. Like, this is honestly insane. You could probably pot this up right now. I'm gonna leave this in here just so that it transitions a little bit better when I'm actually potting it. But this is an awesome method. It's super easy to check up on your Hoya because you can either just look through the clear plastic top, or you can take that top off really easily, and you can see the roots developing. So I really like this method of using just a to-go container or a piece of Tupperware that has a clear top to put that potting mix in, and then just basically all I've done is keep it moist with a mister. I mist it about every day, and you can see that this absolutely loves it. I also wanted to show you some results of some propagating that I've done. Right here I have Hoya Chelsea, and I rooted this Hoya Chelsea in some sphagnum moss in the Ziplock bag propagation method, and then I potted it into this really cute little terracotta container. And basically what I've used for the soil is a mixture of orchid bark, potting mix, just your general potting mix that you can find, as well as perlite, because like I said, Hoyas really like a light mix. And I am actually pretty astonished because I put these cuttings into this container. It rooted in sphagnum moss in about 3 weeks, and then I transitioned it to this container probably about a month ago. So we're going on about 2 months with these cuttings, but there are already roots coming out of the bottom of this container. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. I don't want to tip it too much for all the soil to come out. There are roots coming out of the bottom of this drainage hole, which is absolutely insane. So if you are utilizing a propagation method that has soil or some type of media within it, like the Ziplock bag propagation method, I've noticed that the Hoyas that I've rooted that way are transitioning really well and super easily into whatever potting mix that you utilize. So there are just a lot of options when it comes to propagating Hoyas. Alright everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I am really excited about Hoya propagation. It is something that you can do to create a little science experiment in your home. Like I said earlier, have learned pretty much everything I know about plants through trial and error, and I've really liked being able to try out these different propagation methods. I am not a botanist. I work in human resources, so I don't even have a background in plants. It's just something that I was interested in college and have continued to develop my knowledge through actually just trying out different plants. I found Hoyas to be a super interesting genus, and I'm really excited about developing even more of a background knowledge in them. So I really just wanted to share this with you so that you have a little bit of information if you want to try propagating the Hoyas that you have. So give me a like, a subscribe, leave a comment down below, and go follow me on Instagram at UrbanJungleMSP and let me know if you have any questions. I hope this video has quelled some of your fears relating to Hoya propagation, and let me know how it goes for you. Alright? Have a good one.